All right, good morning. Welcome back here to Trader Minute. Great to have you aboard. We have this company named FedEx. Most of you heard of FedEx. FedEx ships around the world, ground, air, and some other more niche type markets. It did really well as Amazon, exploded and more packages were shipped around the world. But today, what's FedEx worth? If you're an investor and you're looking at FedEx, what's FedEx worth? The business is falling. Yeah, a lot of people are ordering stuff off of Amazon. Oil prices are dropping big, so their fuel costs are going on down. But yet, businesses across the world shutting down, absolutely shutting down, going into hibernation mode. You have cities like Las Vegas just shutting down, Disneyland shutting down, sports shutting down, schools shutting down. How many people are mailing packages in that situation? Don't quite know, right? You just don't quite know. It seems like a lot is going to be lost, but you just don't know. How much is it going to impact the economy? How long is this going to last? Nobody knows. So what's FedEx worth? How can you say what FedEx is worth when nobody knows? Yeah, we can assume things will get back to normal at some point, but when's that going to happen? 2 weeks? 4 weeks? 6 weeks? 6 months? 12 months? 18 months? What's the damage during that time? These are all questions that investors are having to deal with, and they don't have a good answer for them at all. It's speculation, it's guesswork. What's monetary policy going to look like? What's government policy going to look like? We're seeing all that change rapidly. And so the world of unknown continues to increase. And not just for FedEx, but for almost every other company out there. Starbucks? They ever going to sell a cup of coffee again? Yeah, they will. They'll sell lots of them. But when? So what's the value of the company? And this is what investors are wrestling with. And we saw a monster rally, one of the biggest rallies in history, Friday afternoon. And I didn't jump on video Friday afternoon, but I wrote in the note that the market looks poised for a little bit of a bounce here, but that there were still going to be big bumps in the road. I didn't expect the monster bounce we saw Friday, and I didn't expect the big bump in the road to come Monday, but I don't expect it because I know that during this type of time period, anything can happen. And this weekend, the Fed here in the U.S., they came out, they cut interest rates to zero, they launched a quantitative easing program, all while coronavirus cases are increasing, while business uncertainty is increasing, while cities like Las Vegas are shutting down essentially. Monetary policy, fiscal policy, all changing, consumer behavior, all changing, business behavior, changing. We are in a world of absolute change right now. And in a world of absolute change, where every variable is changing, how do you know what something's worth? You simply don't. And it's why we see in these environments monster rallies, monster contractions, and very little that is safe. S&P futures opened up last night, and they were open for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 minutes last night. They were open for a whole 15 minutes, and you can see that they gave up the end of day, that rally we saw in the last 20 minutes on Friday. You say, well, okay, just gave up the last 20 minutes of gains. Well, that was a monster piece of gains. So they shut futures down. Is that going to do anything to quell some of the selling? Well, let's take a look at the SPY. The SPY is set to open up at 239 after closing at 269. That's a 30-point or 300 point SPY drop, a 300 point SPY drop. That's well over 10%. So what are they going to do this morning? When the market's open, they're going to shut them down. The circuit breakers are going to kick in. So the market will open momentarily, then it will be halted. And the next circuit breaker will kick in at 13%, and the next one at 20%. But we're in a world right now where no one knows how to value anything. And so the only logical conclusion is to sell. I'm not saying that will last forever. I'm not saying that companies aren't going to get really cheap this morning, because some companies are. But the sheer panic out there is something that I don't recall seeing in my trading lifetime, and I traded through the financial crisis. In the financial crisis, there were at least some known variables. You could measure some things. With this, you simply can't. You simply can't measure in the same way. And so we have things going skiwampus in just a historic fashion. Gold, we talk about gold, and long term I'm bullish on gold, but we've made the point over and over that gold is not a hedge for the market. Gold is not something you buy because you think, well, if market goes down, then I'm safe in gold. And gold down over $57 here. Gold isn't safe. Oil isn't safe. Oil's down another 10% here this morning. Banks like Bank of America down 25% this morning. These are just absolute bloodbath numbers in a way that we just simply haven't seen. We saw different metrics go off the scales last week. And, a late day rally on Friday, not nearly enough to save it. Is it going to continue to be a very fluid situation? Oh, you betcha. Are there going to be some monster bounces? Yeah, for sure. But are there going to be more days, more unknowns that investors have to wrestle with? Absolutely, and that's what we are seeing, here this morning. This morning will likely go down in stock market history. I don't know that there's another word for this other than crash. And yes, it's not the 1987 style crash down 20%, but down more than 10% here in the pre-market. It's just something historically we don't see. We don't have a lot of data to look and go, well, when the market does this, then this is what tends to happen afterwards. Not only do we not have data to suggest what tends to happen afterwards, we have a few pieces, but they're so rare that drawing a conclusion from them is very difficult. Not only do we not have a lot of data, but we don't have data for this type of situation on a global scale when it comes to the coronavirus and the spread and what is happening with that. The challenge remains in all cash. I talked about it last week that I was not going to do anything too dramatically different simply because option values are insane, and the next move and all of that in the short run is a little bit of guesswork. Sure, there's day trading that sets up very nicely, but by the time an alert goes out, prices change pretty dramatically. So I would continue to run with the challenge format, with the challenge structure, and I will. And that does mean sitting in cash through some of these massive swings. Monday we had huge upside in the market, Friday we had huge upside in the market. I was asked, are we going to get any bull signals? Well, we didn't, and for good reason. Are we going to get any new bear signals today? Probably not, because we're not going to get fresh downside 3-7 crossovers. And even if we do get a signal, the option values are probably pretty ridiculous. So we will need to see some sort of stabilization before signals come in. But the massive chaos of this pullback is going to provide opportunities that are fantastic going forward. When? That's the big question. It's not if, it's a matter of when. And so for the challenge, I will trade a market vibe signal that comes in. So far, all we have going on in the market is breaking the market vibe scale. The market vibe scale is minus 10 to 10 with a potential to get to minus 12, but almost impossible to do. And we saw it hit minus 11 2 days last week. And it's just something that we've never seen before. And so to look at this market and to say, well, this is happening, so this is going to happen, right now is a lot of speculation, is a lot of unknown. Yeah, do I find great potential value in stocks at some of the levels that they're trading at this morning? Oh, you betcha. But in full-on crash mode, is that the time to pick them up? Not necessarily. Maybe dip a toe here and there, but from an option standpoint, you're going to get any value? No, not really. Not to the upside. Not something where you go, well, you know what, I can hold this for the long term. You're not going to see a ton of value. And frankly, you're not going to see many great fill prices, out there in the market. So today, I'm not going to jump on video again this morning. I am going to be sitting back and watching what's going on and just kind of observing some of the history that's being made right now. And kind of looking and simply looking for, where are we seeing any clues, any signals, from the market about things going forward? Where do we see some, potential bright spots going forward? And where are those stocks that's kind of like Halliburton that just may be dead, may not be bouncing after this? And that's one of the big secrets, or one of the big not talked about in the financial crisis, is there were many stocks that went to single digits that never recovered, just simply never recovered. And there will be those out of this that go to the single digits and never recover. But there will be stocks that get hit very, very hard. For example, a Chipotle Mexican Grill that recovers in a massive way. An AT&T that recovers in a great way. But right now, banks have suspended their buybacks. We've seen other companies suspend their buybacks. We have a global market that has no idea how to value anything. And so to say, well, you're getting a great price this morning if you buy this morning, you can't really say that. Just simply can't say it. Yeah, there will ultimately be people who buy at the absolute bottom, and this morning could be the absolute bottom. But how many potential absolute bottoms have we seen now in this market? And how many more are there potentially going to be in what is the absolute historic nature of what this market is? I hope and pray that you're staying safe and that you and your family are well. And we'll talk to you this afternoon. Take care.